Hello and welcome back to the second emergency podcast of the 2025 season. Taps realignment is back upon us. That's right. It is that time. Walker Lott, this is now the third Taps realignment that we have been lucky enough to cover. I remember vividly the first one. It came out, I think, on a Saturday afternoon. I was walking out of what restaurant was that in College Station? It wasn't Zoe's Kitchen because that wasn't my thing. I don't remember what it was. I was walking. No, it was Zoe's Kitchen. I think for some reason. I don't know why I got that.
Never been
But
there.
all that you're not missing a whole lot. It's bird food. But all that to say, this is now the third time that we've done this. There's a lot of teams moving around. It's not as insane as Dallas Christian moving from D2 to D3 or Liberty moving from D2 to D1. That being said, there's still a lot to talk about and a lot that affects the district as a whole, or the divisions as a whole, excuse me. That being said, we're going to jump right into it, looking at TAPS Division One. Again, not a whole ton of stuff here, but the big thing is Plano John Paul II moves from independent up into District 1, which God bless you, John Paul. Good luck, because that's already very crowded with a lot of good talent. Obviously, Prestonwood, Parish, and Liberty all stay the same, although Liberty is one of the smallest schools for the cutoff with 404. The cutoff is 395. So if I was Jason Witten, I might just take like 10 kids and say, go to Argyle, leave now. I don't know. I mean, all that
No,
being said,
you want them to compete
that's
in Division
that,
One. What do you
that's what I was
mean?
that's what I was gonna say. It's kind of like the DC effect because DC was mad when they went down to D3 because they were like, we can still compete in D2. Why are we doing this? All that being said, no, I'm sure they want to stay in Division 1 and compete at the highest level. Lutheran South also moves up, which if you just caught our week 10 recap episode. That's going to be really interesting. So, what Lutheran South's going to move into that TAPS D1 South District 2, which I like a lot better because if they moved up into District 1, that would be incredibly tough sledding. Not to say the teams in District 2 aren't as good, but they're not as good as the top, with the exception of St. Thomas, maybe. I think Lutheran South will legitimately be able to compete in that arena. We will
Yep.
see once we get there. And then Savio moves out of the district, which they're going independent. It's the move that was needed. Again, take a couple years, get right, come back. Walker Lot, Lutheran South moving up into District 2, I think is the most pertinent information from the Division 1 shakeup. Your thoughts as we look at this for the first time?
Yeah, they get into Division One by two students.
Ooh.
Two students. They barely beat the cutoff. And for better or for worse, they're in, which is it's crazy to say. For Lutheran South, we talk about it, and we'll talk about another thing because with Bay Area making it into Division 3 back into D3. Bay Area and Lutheran South are the two, Bay Area is the biggest 4A school or 3A school, and now Lutheran South gets into the Division 1 6A level because they're the only one in that South Houston area, right? Where they're, I believe Lutheran South is off of 45, and you're kind of like, okay, I'm pulling that up right now on my phone. Um, yeah, they're off of 45 down, like you're going to Galveston, man. And so they're the only big tap school in that entire area. And then I think Bay Area is a little bit farther south or a little bit farther north. So like when you want like big school football or big school private school football and you want to go to a private school, that's the only school in the area. And that's why you see this rise in enrollment for Lutheran South. So shout out to them. I think this is interesting for football. You now have a competitive game 1 through 6, 1 through 7 in an entire district, right? Where Savio was kind of like, okay, the easy win for every team in that district. Lutheran South's not the easy win anymore. And so that makes it a lot more fun in that district. I think a lot more kids are going to come into Lutheran South. The portal will be kind to them as well. So I think they can easily compete in this district. But also, Wes, stuff like this, baseball, where they're a
Ooh.
monster in baseball, where they have to play Concordia Lutherans, who's a monster in baseball, St. Thomas, who's a monster in baseball, St. Pius, who's a monster in baseball. That district for other
Central?
sports,
Yeah.
yeah, Central too. That's going to be a monster district when it comes to baseball and other sports. So that's pretty cool. Shout out to the Dodgers for winning that. Did you watch the game all last night, by the way?
I did not. The Dodgers are evil
I
in my
agree.
mindset, but
I wanted the Blue Jays, but the Blue Jays just couldn't get it done. And
well, the Blue Jays are also evil as a Rangers fan because of Jose Bautista trying to
it's a
kill
good
our
point.
program in 2016. So I really just wished everyone would lose, but I'm also a spiteful individual.
Right. But it was a good game nonetheless. Great series. Speaking of baseball, moving on to but yeah, Division One, the smallest schools, LSA beats the cutoff by two. Liberty Christian and St. Mike's Prep are the other two smallest ones, which makes sense because those are the other two schools that moved up from D2 to D1 in last year's realignment. The biggest schools, St. Thomas at 1,500. They're an all boys school, so that's doubled, right? Central Catholic is doubled with all boys at 1,000, and 1,000 by itself. Bishop Lynch with 1,024, by far the biggest school out of anyone in TAPS this year with 1,000 kids, and then JP2, who's the next highest with 700. 300 more students with Bishop Lynch in terms of everything else. So that just is a testament to the Friars over there and how big the school is. Shout out to TAPS Division One.
We'll now move into TAPS Division 2, where there's a bit more shakeup, but for kicks and giggles, the biggest schools in TAPS Division 2, All Saints with 389 kids, Midland with 369, which I honestly wouldn't expect,
Yeah,
Southwest, which I also wouldn't expect,
me either.
365, and Fort Bend, which yet again I wouldn't expect with 363. The smallest schools going from biggest of the smallest to smallest, Grace Prep with 220, McKinney Christian with 219, San Antonio St. Anthony's with 218, and Church John Paul II with 216. So in terms of the movement, Trinity Christian Lubbock moves down to Division Three, District One. Walker, off the top of my head, which division is that? Because that's not the division with All Saints and Dallas Christian and all them. Is that with
That
Covenant
is
and
like,
Pantego and
yes, that's Lubbock
okay.
Christian, Lake Country, Covenant Christian.
That might be fun, especially to give Lubbock Christian that TCS Lubbock Christian rivalries back. That will be
Yep.
fun. Midland Christian is sorry, McKinney Christian is back from independent and moves into Division Two, District Two. It's lucky for them that's District Two, not District One, because they avoid the District of Doom. And listen, I don't think that McKinney is going to be competitive into that district. It will be the weakest district now with Austin Regents moving out and Austin Hyde Park moving out, because then you've got Grace Community, you've got Grace Prep, you've got Brentwood, you've got
Yeah. The District Two in that district in Division Two now is
not
Bishop
Brentwood.
Dunn, Grace Prep, Grace Community, McKinney Christian, and Brook Hill. What that
Oh God,
means, Wes Tolleson, if Grace Community doesn't challenge for the district title for the next 2 years, that is a disappointment.
they will. Slade Etheridge will be back. Braden Alexander will be moving into his. I think he should be his junior season.
Yep.
And there will be a bunch of guys that look exactly like me that won't be amazing, but will do just enough to make plays and keep them afloat. It's what Grace has always done. That being said, that will be interesting. Yeah, as we mentioned, all Austin schools are back into District 3, which thank God, by the way. This like I understand that the people running the Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools are smarter than I am. But this has been a logistical nightmare for 2 years, and it's always fun for me to pick the brains of people that are making this drive from Austin. Yeah, all the games have to be played on Thursday. You get into basketball, and you're like, there's no studying involved. Everyone's just sitting on
Yeah.
buses for 10 hours. All that being said, is it's a great thing to get Regents, Hyde Park, and Brentwood out of a district with a bunch of Tyler and Dallas schools.
Yep.
Well done, Taps. That said, Austin Hill Country and Church John Paul II move up into District 3. This surprises me. So, Hill Country isn't even showing up on the list of the smallest schools. How many people moved into Austin Hill Country?
I can answer that for you right
That's a
now.
good question because yeah,
Hill Country's at 230. They're 10 spots bigger or 10 students bigger than Grace Prep, all 11 bigger than McKinney, and then some other schools. So they're near the bottom, yes, but they're like, but the interesting thing is then they're 20 students behind Brentwood and Legacy Prep that are like that's like 30 behind them. So like there's a difference, right? Where like Hill Country is growing, but they're not near the top as well.
I'm going to keep it a buck 50 with you. And Shirts moving up as well is
That's
surprising.
crazy, in my
This is,
opinion.
yeah, both Hill Country and Shirts. Again, Hill Country's good. They're actually 3-1 in their division, but
Yeah,
they still got blasted by Brazos Christian. They barely beat Rose Hill. It's gonna, and again, then you're now saying, okay, Regents, you're playing Regents now. I think they'll be fine. I don't. Shirts John Paul might go indie.
they will.
They,
That
they they'll,
that's
they'll
one of
go indie.
that's one of my questions is which schools will go independent. I think
I
Shirts will go independent. They have to. They haven't won a game in Division Three. They're not going to win a game in Division Two. I think it's cool for basketball because I think they're a pretty solid basketball school. Which so like all of those schools that will be fun. But like this is not what they needed for football. So they'll go independent. Hill Country is the same way, where they're not going to win in that district. Do they go to independent? I don't know. Because can they defeat the St. Anthony's and the Victoria St. Joseph's and the Brentwoods? I guess maybe.
Brentwood maybe not. The St. Anthony's and the St. Joseph's are they've got to be able to do that. Well, no, St. Joseph's maybe not.
So I don't know. I think it's interesting. Um, but yeah, I don't know how that would work. It's a one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 man district now.
So what? They're gonna have
Yes,
three non-con games?
yes. No,
Sure.
two, because one will be they'll have a bye as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, shirts will leave. I'm guessing San Antonio Christian is they'll be good. St. Anthony, does St. Anthony move out? That's a question, right? Where
Hmm.
they haven't won a
Yeah.
game really in district. Do they move out and stay for like basketball and other
And
things? I don't know.
and not just they haven't won a game, they haven't won a game in the worst, in one of the worst districts
Right.
in the state. And now you're like, okay, again, regents, like they've got to end up
And
forcing a bunch of
and
these
another
teams
thing of
out.
like guys going independent, I'll mention the other two. McKinney Christian, okay? They're winning some games in the Division 3 level. Do they move up? Are they okay with moving up to D2 and competing? Like I don't like Bishop Dunn they'll beat, but like I don't think they beat
Well,
Grace Prep,
here's the
Grace
thing
or
that
Brook Hill.
they almost beat Grace Prep this year. I mean, that was a
Oh,
70.
okay.
By the way, that was a 76 to 63 game. How did that happen? But I mean, it seems like that they destroyed
Okay.
Shelton. I mean, they lost to Cypress Christian. They lost to how? Wait, they almost beat. I mean, what they lost to Grace Prep by 13, and they lost to Tyler All Saints 38 to 7. Is All Saints going to go out and beat Dallas Christian next week?
Dude, I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
Again, we're crossing our wires in this episode now. To your point, I think I think McKinney will stay in. I
They
just
should.
don't know. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but they're not egregious enough that I think that they do not that they go indie. That being said, the last two parts we got Legacy Prep out of Magnolia moves back from Independent to Division 2 District 4. Uh, yikes.
I think they try again to stay out. It's a testament to them. Like Legacy Prep is growing and they're the only school in Magnolia, which is a lot of people and it's a growing town, so it makes sense. But I don't see them competing in that district. They're going to be the Beaumont Kelly of the district, right? The interesting part is Victoria St. Joseph moves over, which is fun, I guess. Um, I guess. If
Sure.
they move over, that's fun. They'll stay in and they'll compete. It's not a terrible drive to Victoria, so I guess it makes sense that you'd want them in that district over the other one with all those schools. So, um,
So remind me one more time. This would be the second time that Magnolia Legacy would be asking to get out, right?
yes, because they played in the
Okay.
Division 3 the other year.
Yeah, they are absolutely going to get out of this. They lost to San Antonio Christian 40 to nothing. They lost to Brazos Christian 44 to nothing, to Lake Country Christian 43 to there's no way they're going to try and
Yeah.
play this
So
out.
that means that District 4 turns into the District 3 of the past 2 years, where it's Fort Bend, Second, St. Joseph, and Woodlands. Three district games a year.
I mean, yeah, it's not quite as bad because none of those teams in District 3 have ever had a real chance at winning a state title, where now TWCA and Second Baptist traditionally will. If Fort Bend Christian ever gets the wheels back on the bus, I mean, they might as well. But we'll see. That'll be interesting. That said, that's a lot into TAPS Division 2. We're now going to go into TAPS Division 3. I'm going to read through everything that we have, and then we're going to dive a little deeper into the things that are actually interesting. So first of all, Flowerman Coram moves from Independent to District 1. Pantego switches from District 1 to District 2. Interesting. Prince of Peace, welcome back, my friends. They moved from Independent to District 2, an old TAPS Division 2 team in my district from back in the day. Bay Area Christian moves from Independent to District 3. Brazos Christian moves up from Division 4 to Division 3, District 3. That will be fun. St. Francis moves from Independent to Division 3, District 3, the first time this has ever been done, reported by LSCSN, our good friends over there. Okay, there's a lot going on. It seems like Division 3 is probably the busiest, maybe outside of Division 4 that we'll get to in a second. Walker, the biggest move here is Brazos Christian moving up from Division 4, who will likely be the title favorites this year, to Division 3. We've been talking about this being on the horizon for a while. Obviously, the Brazos Valley is growing in size, which means Brazos Christian naturally is going to grow in size. moving into this Division 3 District 3, and so that's going to be them, Holy Cross, New Braunfels, Geneva, and company. What are your thoughts with the Eagles, who are really, really developing their program under Coach Black, moving up there? Do you think they're ready for this? Is what I'm asking.
I think they are. I think they're gonna take some licks here and there, but I do think they're ready. This is something interesting I also learned on looking at the numbers wise. Brazos Christian is now in the middle of the pack in 4A. They're similar sizes to the Colleyville Covenant and Geneva School of Bernie, and they're
Hmm.
bigger than Lake Country and also Lubbock Christian by 20 students. They've massively upgraded this next cycle. So they're not like a middle of the they're not a oh we're barely into Division 3. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna see what we can do. No, size wise, they're bigger than a lot of schools they'll play. And that's the interesting part. Um, just think about it, right? You'll lose a lot of guys like Saxey and Jacobus and Grant Boehm and guys like that, but you return Hunter Black and Reed Jackson and Carson
Ramsey?
Ramsey. So like you have guys returning, and I think they'll just more and more guys. Like you're not telling me after making the state title game, maybe for back-to-back years, a guy from Consol or CHHS or something like that doesn't want to have a Christian education and come over to Brazos Christian and play for Coach Black. I would be very doubtful in that, right? I think that would happen. So I think they'll be okay in Division 3. And honestly, like with the schools they're playing, right? Bay Area, they beat badly. Geneva, I think they'd win that game. I think they'd beat New Braunfels. I think they'd beat Corpus Christi St. John Paul. And I think they'd beat Houston St. Francis. The only game I would be like, I'm hesitant about is Holy Cross, of course. They'll compete in that district. I'm not worried about that. I think they'll go pretty far in TAPS Division 3. There's a reason we do our division rankings with 3 and 4 together, right? Because those teams are very similar in terms of size and numbers, right? So it's a good win. Overall, besides that, Bay Area moving into Division 3 is good. Bay Area, by the way, we talked about the Lutheran South rise. They're the biggest school in 4A. So they're the
Hmm.
biggest school in terms of Division 3 and Division 4. So that should result into, okay, we're going to be a better program. They have the sophomore hall or the junior hall, who's going to be a good player. But besides that, Prince of Peace comes back and all of this. But yeah, the biggest schools now are Bay Area with 210, Dallas Covenant with 209, Holy Cross with 206, and TCS Lubbock at 200. Um, that makes sense, which is it's funny because the 4A Indian enrollment at the size wise is 210. So that means, by the way, that Division 3 Bay Area almost should have been in Division 2 right now. That's the level they should be at right now. That's the crazy part. So Bay Area barely sneaks into Division 3, back into football. Let's see how they can do.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen with St. Francis because people that don't follow basketball as efficiently will know, as studiously, as deeply, I don't know. But St. Francis won the
Yeah.
4A state title this year. By the way, they're a great basketball school, and especially at the TAPS level. I mean, you would think guys that have electric basketball athletes, some of those guys can play football, but it seems like they haven't really convinced them yet. They're 6-3 on the. I say that they are 6-3 on the season. I was more tilted by the 41-0 loss at the hands of Cypress Christian. Again, we'll see. I think there's a good chance they'll ask to go Indy as well, but I hope they don't because I think that would be fun to see if they
Yeah.
can actually put some pieces
And
together and
I didn't
compete.
last thing I wanted to mention, the smallest school in Division 3 now, Lubbock Christian with 151.
That's not. Imagine Lubbock Christian going back down to D4, like what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
Bad. Not for Lubbock Christian, for the teams that play Lubbock Christian. That said, speaking of TAPS Division 4, we are now going to move back down to there. The needle movers here. Tyler All Saints moves down to Division 4 District 1. Tyler Bishop Gorman moves down to Division 4 District 1. TCA Willow Park moves down to Division 4 District 1. And Northland Christian Welcome Back moves up from 6-man to Division 4 District 2. Okay, so this, and again, I don't remember exactly where the cutoff is. I'm sure it's 135. Tyler All Saints makes the cutoff by two to be 137 students. They are the smallest school in TAPS Division 4. This, as a kid from Tyler, this is so crazy to me because I remember vividly when all the Tyler schools were in one district and it was us and Bishop Gorman. And since then, All Saints and Gorman have moved down from Division 2 to Division 3, then Division 3 to Division 4. And I think at one point that Gorman moved up from 4 to 3, and then they're back from 3 to 4. All that being said, it's the right call, at least for Gorman. Gorman's struggled a decent amount, and they've lost kids for. If you ever, again, you ever want to go to lunch, talk politics, why Gorman loses a bunch of kids, I'd be happy to. It's a fantastic, not fantastic. It's a fascinating situation. All that being said, Walker, I actually think this is also really good for Tyler All Saints because they have been a great team in their own right this year. We're talking about them possibly challenging DC in their district, although they probably won't. They'll be solid. They'll lose some key players from this year to next year. But I think they're a team that, especially in the North Division Four, will have a great chance to compete along with them and everything else that we see in front of us. Your thoughts on Division Four and the shakeup from realignment?
Yeah, the interesting part is that I think Division Four, you kind of decide if you're good enough for which level, right? So
Yeah.
in Division Four, the biggest schools, of course, are Tyler All Saints, Conroe, Covenant, and Live Oak. Those all are 4A schools and should be technically Division Three kind of schools, but they're just not there yet, right? Live Oak growing massively, if you think about that, going from 6 man to numbers wise should be Division Three, but now are staying in Division Four. But yeah, the biggest schools wise should be are going down to Division Four. Tyler All Saints, who's number two in that district with DC, are going down to Division Four, which is awesome. Or not awesome, honestly, but it's good for their program, I guess. Um, it's interesting. Bishop Gorman and TCA Willow Park definitely needed to go down, just in terms of like playing against teams, right? Like they were more of a Division Four. It should make it more competitive. Yes, First Baptist will win pretty much again, but Tyler Olson should be more competitive in that district. I like that Northland's moving back up from 6 man to Division Four. This was a team that kind of got rocked by everything, and then Coach Allen left, and all the guys who were growing up together have moved around to other schools, where Rome Stanford and guys like that all moved over to like Concordias and the Piuses of the world. So I'm glad their program is back into 11 man this year. We'll see if they stay in 11 man or do they go, hey, we're going back down because we just don't have the guys. So that'll be interesting to see. Also, by the way, all this is not official. They have time to appeal by the end of November, I believe that's around that time, to finalize everything. So we'll see some changes as it goes on. But I just wanted to say this. You ready for this? The smallest schools in Division Four. This is the cool stat. The smallest schools in Division Four are Monster Sacred Heart with 69, Waco
Oof.
Riker with 71, Shiner with 81, Mercy Culture Prep with 83, and then Hallettsville Sacred Heart with 99. Those are all in 2A. So you have some 4A schools in there and then 2A schools in Division 4. And I just wanted to say some of these teams bigger than some of these above. Prestonwood Christian Academy North, Bracken Christian, who has 120, Westbury 132, Allen Academy with 82, and the baseball power of Villa Christian with 97. Those teams are playing 6 man football, but they're still bigger than all the Munster Sacred Hearts and the Rikers and the Shiners of the world. Which is a testament to those programs saying we're gonna play 11 man football. This is what we've grown up doing. We're gonna keep going. So shout out to those schools. But that also means that like I think next cycle we should see some massive shakeup in the scene who will play 11 man football in 2 years.
Yeah, and that's always the interesting part. I'm glad you brought it up because especially like where in Division 1 through 3, everyone's kind of in a neat little box. Like if you're between this size and this size, you play here. In Division 4 is like if you've got 7 kids and all right, if you've got at least 11 kids in your high school and you want to play 11-man football, come on ahead. You can play at school that's got 100 kids. It's just it's interesting. It's and again, teams like Mercy Culture Prep, that's one of it's a 2A level school in China and all of them. They've performed well, especially Mercy Culture Prep. So I do like the fact that they're not just forcing these schools to play 6 man, especially if you're like, hey, you've got the chops to do it, go ahead and do it. And I think it's super fun that way. But I don't really have anything else regarding Division 4. Walker, before we get out of here, anything else you want to hit on regarding realignment?
Yeah, there's just 3 questions I'll mention. We can get out of here pretty soon. What we already had mentioned the first one of like which teams will try to go independent. Which district is the district of a doom now? Because there's always one in every single level, and I'm trying to figure out which one is it. I think the same one as this year, right? I think
Yeah.
that the district of All Saints Fourth Christian, Grapevine Midland, I think is still there. Some of the biggest schools in Division Two are still all in the same thing. I think
Here's
the
a flip side question to you. For divisions 1 through 3, especially
yeah.
thinking 1 and 2, what's the weakest division or district?
Ooh, in
Because I know my answer and it's easy.
the weakest district, it might be District 2, Division 2. I
Yeah.
think that's the answer. Um, yeah, I think that's easily the answer.
Yeah.
I don't
Because,
have anything to comment on it. It's just like
no,
Bishop Dunn is not there yet. McKinney Christian comes in and can't compete, but like they don't have a top dog. And no offense to
Grace.
Wes, but Grace, I don't know if Wes is not. Grace is going to be on the teetering of the 10th place spot in Taps Division 2. That's going to be their range, right?
I'm
Like,
okay with that.
but I
We district
agree.
champions, baby. You can't take it from us.
Add them to the wall, right? Like you just add the number to the wall of district champs 9 or 25. Um, you know what is? I think the District of Doom. I think is now TAPS Division One, District One. I think that's probably what it is with Liberty, Prestonwood, no, Liberty, Prestonwood Parish, and then if Lynch can keep going up and Legacy can keep going up.
But it's the exact same, though. I mean, yeah,
I'm not. I'm just saying. Like I don't
that
know.
that's interesting that we haven't called that the District of Doom. I guess because it's just the three. Well, that's even
Okay,
more of a District of Doom than TAPS D2 is.
I have an answer then because
What's
the
your
most
answer?
chaos is the District of Doom is TAPS Division One, District Two. You
Yeah.
never know how that's going to end up, and
No.
that's the District of Doom.
Yeah, no, that's actually the right answer, especially adding Lutheran South in there. That'll be fun. As far as realignments themselves go, it's not as crazy as the two that we've seen in the
No.
past. As mentioned, we don't see a DC moving down. We don't see a Liberty moving up. We're not like grabbing our microphones and like screaming, "Oh my God, why? How does this happen?" It's all pretty standard, but there's definitely talking points to extract from that. But again, if you've got any questions of your own or comments, leave them in the comments. You've got our emails are attached to this place. If there's anything, we don't really have a direct line to Taps. If you have anything, you're like, hey, you're the
You can
voice
get
of the
one.
people. Let us. We should get one. I should have a phone on my desk that's like the president to
Yeah.
like the direct line that Kennedy had to. Who was it? Was it Khrushchev? Was it Gorbachev? I don't know. The leader of the USSR.
Right.
All that being said, we should get a direct line to Taps. If you have any questions regarding realignment, from Walker, who has already poured over this extensively, to me, who will sadly probably spend a Saturday afternoon looking at this and trying to find implications, reach out to us. But again, if you're seeing this after our Week 10 recap episode, we will now go ahead and see you in the Week 11 preview episode coming out on Thursday. That has massive implications for SPC title games as well as district title races. But as always, for myself, I have been Wes Tolleson. For Walker Lott, I have been him. He has fantastically been himself in this episode. This has been the second and hopefully final emergency podcast of the 2025 season. We will see you in the next episode. See you later.